Oh, Oh, hey guys, Tool fan here, and today I'm reviewing the new Tool album, Fear Inoculum. It's a band name that can trigger emotions with just its name like no other. Even bands with famously loyal fan bases like Slipknot can't even come close to the sheer cultiness of their fan base. And I'm not even gonna say that's for bad reasons. Tool are titans of the prog metal and just metal genre in general. Through their endless innovation and controversies, one thing has remained constant. They are fucking talented as shit. It shows that really the key to having a cult fanbase is just be good. But on a serious note, the hype for this album was unreal. It's a rare day indeed that the internet blows up this much over an album release. Hey, did you know it's been 13 years? Was it worth the hype? Yeah, let's just fucking get into it. Review time. I guess there's no other place to start than by expressing just how talented these fuckers are. The melodies they construct on this album are just mind-blowing, front to back. A lot of them are in 7/4 time signature, as the kind of theme of this album was the number 7 for some reason. But it doesn't stop them whatsoever from hitting just as hard as they should. A lot of the songs, at least in the start, kind of follow the Swans formula, just building up a riff and then building on it and building on it until you reach a massive, mind-blowing climactic conclusion. And what conclusions they build to! The choruses on this album are just massive. They really pound your brain with these larger-than-life, all-encompassing melodies. And these are helped massively by minor James Keenum. His voice has aged like fine wine. Reminds me of the lead singer of Judas Priest and just how good he can sound, even in his age. Especially on tracks like the intro. But what's really impressive is he doesn't use tricks to sound good. There's actually very little vocal layering or reverb. You are just dry hearing his vocals, and they still manage to carry all the emotion and grit that gives the album its power. I should also mention that the bass lines are just near perfect as well. A lot of the times they are kind of doing what the guitar's doing, but when it's this effective, I don't care. But between the riffs and choruses, one binding element that really packs everything together is the drums. And my god, this is one of the most talented drummers working today. Other than his loud work during the choruses, even in some of the small sections with his just godlike tom fills, he managed to fill it up so perfectly. He hits with such conviction and groove and rhythm, even in these odd time signatures. It makes me want to headbang more than anything, even though I can't because it's fucking math metal. You know, like prog, experimental, avant-garde, post something, whatever labels you want to put on it. And along with his drummers, there's also a lot of hand percussion. But this is where my complaints have to come in. A lot of the hand percussion can sound great. Seriously, virtuoso bongo players are insane. But I can't help but think that these sections take away from the songs as a whole, especially given how long they go on for. You can only hold a great chorus for so long, but these sections seem to drag out for however long they want them to, and I just internally scream at the thought of having to listen to their idea of having all of this in one giant, big song. Please, no. This next section is going to sound very mean, but before I get into it, I'd just like to reiterate. Normally in my notes, if a particular player in a band or a specific aspect of the mix is particularly good, I'll make sure to write that down and mention it. I separately mentioned every single player individually in my notes. That should tell you just how much I was loving the highs of this album. But with the highs, you also have to take the lows. Going back to the Swans comparison, one of the reasons their music is so good is that between these massive highs, it blends perfectly. You feel like you're entering the billionth mental dimension as you go from headbanging and then suddenly you're in a choir with snare drums. And you rarely even notice that there's been the change because it's so gradual. I can't really say that for this album. Technically, you could say all the sections blend. It's not like a jerky jump from one style to another. But it doesn't feel like I'm being sent on this long journey like I want to. It feels like they're building up an idea, then waiting for a bit, then often building up again, getting even bigger and better, and then waiting and procrastinating. I feel like if every track on this album was 7 minutes long, I would love it so much more, because it's cutting out the crap and just sticking to what they're excellent at, playing their instruments. While I was listening to this album, I kind of had a revelation. I'm fucking bored. I'm bored on a Tool album. When you're in your workout mix, these sections can sound kind of cool, but actually focusing on the listening experience as a whole, trying to be mentally transported to the Tool plane, they just take me out of it. Once again, they're boring. I don't want to make it sound like I'm blaming the bongos for this. It's not like they're just exclusive sections. The issue is purely the lack of substance, lack of flow, and the fact that they again go on for too long. I know I'm repeating myself, but just to put this into perspective, on the song Pneumonia, the slow section started about 6 minutes and 10 seconds in, and it only picks up again 8 minutes and 40 seconds in. That is 2 minutes and 20 seconds of boredom. If your album is putting me through that just to listen to it, you're doing something wrong. Now combine this with the bonus tracks they applied on the Spotify version, which in my opinion were intended exclusively as trolls. Tool have made no secret that they're not a fan of streaming services. For the longest time, they didn't even release them on there. And these bonus tracks really don't add much of anything. In fact, they take away from it even more by making me even more bored. And if I weren't a paying user and wouldn't be able to skip past them, it would be even worse. Besides, who even includes bonus tracks on the digital version anyway? I am convinced they did this just to fuck with Spotify listeners. But back to the album itself. Overall, Tool managed to bring some dizzying heights on this album. The sheer virtuosity of the middling sections is awesome, and the high points really do work, but too much time is wasted in my opinion. Little goes by and the immersion dies down. It took them 13 years to write it. It only would have taken a day to take out the parts that don't work. And so as much as I love this band, and love several parts of this album, it really weighs less than the sum of its parts. You have no idea how much I want to give this a 9, but with the amount of fat and the high sections normally relying on the low sections to build you into them, I just can't justify that. And so the most I can give this album is a 6 out of 10. Comments on this one should be pretty interesting. My name has been Xander, everybody. You can subscribe here and watch my other videos here. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. It really does help out the channel. Leave a comment. What did you think of this? Did you love every second of this album? Do you want to rip my guts out? Whatever you think, it helps me in the algorithm if you put it below, so please do that. My next video should be a great albums video covering the last month, and then after that I'm doing my catch-up video, where I review any albums I've missed. Still welcome any suggestions, put down any albums below. I promise I'll at least listen to everything that's put down there. See you around, Tool fans.